Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So I started doing this and thought, I should probably be filming this for you guys. So I just got off the shot there. That's the speaker that I use in the car with the Yaesu FTM-400. Now, I had a bit of an issue yesterday, or the day before, don't know when it happened. I misplaced the coupler and the special adapter supplied with the radio. They had somehow become disconnected from the cable, never to be seen again. So I don't know what's happened to them, whether they're still in the car in the footwell or whether they're somewhere else, I don't actually know. So the speaker has had its plug cut off, and we've got here in the helping hands a aux cable that I've cut the plug off one end of. This was a cheap Poundland one. So I've already metered out what the wires do. It's standard wiring that I expected it to be. The black goes to the sleeve and the tip and ring are on the white and red. So it's basically standard phono colours. So that's made it easy. So the speaker itself is 8 ohms and it's a red and black wire on that, so it makes it a lot easier. So what I've got to do is I've got to connect the black wire to the ring and the red wire to the tip. That information came from online, and that's what the adapter does. It basically lets you plug in a speaker like that with just a tip sleeve plug on it, and therefore it doesn't short out the radio's audio circuit and potentially cause damage. So the only time that all three connectors are used is if there was two speakers, one for VFO A and one for VFO B, because I don't use VFO B for audio because I only use it for APRS. I don't need it anyway. So it's needing these wires to be tinned, so I'm going to tin them now. I'm using the Joby dead cat type microphone I normally use outside because it was the only microphone I had to hand. I'm using lead solder for this job because I don't like to use lead-free solder, which is what that solder probably is. So I'm going to have to tin these wires. I don't need to tin the black one, I just need to tin the red, and I need to tin the white. And I will be putting heat shrink on this. I'll have to remember to put the heat shrink on first before I solder it all together. So tin the wires, just those two. I'll cut the end of the light one off because I don't need it. Hoping it works. My soldering iron's been a pain in the behind. I think that's tinned. So I don't need the black one, but I do need to meter that out again. I do have a multimeter in here somewhere. I don't know if it's reliable because it's my Unity UT58C and that's been giving me some trouble lately. So I just need to meter it out again, just to make sure that the wires are going where I think they're going. Okay, so this meter has been giving me some problems. So it's the red and the white that I'm interested in. And once I've confirmed where they're going, what I can do is I can connect the speaker appropriately. And my plan is to heat shrink the two individual wires and then overall heat shrink it. So I'm going to bring that meter in. And hopefully this is going to work. I don't know, because this meter's been, like I say, can give me some problems. I do have my other meter that's somewhere else. I'm going to focus on the meter so you can actually see it. Okay, that's behaving itself. That's a good start. So the other end of this plug's down here somewhere. There it is. So I need to work out which one of those wires is going to the ring. If I can get a good connection. Yeah, it's the white wire that's going to the ring, which means the black wire of the speaker connects to the white wire, and the red to the red. So that's what I will do next. I'm just going to pause whilst I tin the wires in the speaker, but I will show you me tinning those wires on the camera. So bear with me 2 seconds while I swap those over. Okay, so I've got the speaker wires in the helping hands now, and you can see there's a bit of this white fluffy stuff on them there. I'm not sure what that is, but it was on the inner jacket. It's inside the jacket, rather. There you go. You know what I mean. So, it was inside the outer jacket, so it's kind of like an inner jacket. There was a bit of papery stuff in there as well, which wasn't all that great. So I've just tried to trim that back with some cutters. That hasn't quite gone to plan. So, I seem to have misplaced my solder now, which is not ideal. But that does happen sometimes. I sometimes do misplace my solder. Just check it's not gone under the meter. No, it hasn't. I could use that horrid lead-free solder, but I'd rather not. So, well, these things happen. So, can't actually see the tube of solder, which I don't know what I've done with it. Ah, there we go. For whatever reason, I put it next to the 991. Don't know why I did that. This is all unrehearsed, unscripted. That's how I like my videos to be. So, and this wasn't even planned. It's not often I do an unplanned video. I might put a bit too much solder on the red wire, but that's okay, fine. Right, so that's that done. So I do have some heat shrink, and I'm going to grab the heat shrink. I did see heat shrink earlier. Where did I see it? Here we go. Some Parkside assorted shrink tubing from Lidl. So bring that in. I got this a while ago. So, because it's got red, it's got green, it's got blue, it's got yellow. I think we're going to use, for the two inner conductors, going to be colour coordinated. Red and black. So, I need to cut them down to a suitable size. I'll put them there. So I need to cut these down to a suitable size to fit over the wires. So the wire that I need to do is, I dropped it down on the floor. I possibly have. No, I found it here. That's good. So I need it so it will cover just the joins. So I need to cut that down. So here's what I'm going to do. Well, I think that should be enough. Focus on there, focus. Won't let me focus, lovely. There we go. It kind of doesn't want to stay in focus, but I'm going to cut a small piece off each. I think should be sufficient to fit over the join. This might... Yeah, that's actually a wee bit too long, I think, so I'm going to have to trim it down a little bit more. Trial and error. Yeah, let's see. There we go. So that's done the red one. Now I've got to do the black one. The black one's actually a wee bit thinner actually than the red one. Or am I just imagining that? I don't know. Let's try not to lose the red one. I will have to shrink these down with a heat gun, but I will do that off camera because the heat gun does make a bit of a racket. So let's see. Okay. So I've now got the two wires with heat shrink over them. It's a bit close to where I want to solder the wires on, so it might try and shrink itself down anyway. But we'll see what happens when we come to do that part. Because the next part I need to do is I need more of that heat shrink. Try not to lose the heat shrink I've already got, so I'll cut it. That will fit over the outer jacket and be able to get over the outer jacket of the speaker. I think I've found some already. Makes it look nice and tidy, you see. Doesn't look as though I've done a half-assed job of it. So I think this whole piece will do. Because that way it'll add a bit of rigidity. So I'm just going to stick the whole piece on. So it's shrunk up, so it will shrink over both sides. Right. Next bit, I've now got to connect everything up. So I've got to remember white to black of the speaker and red to red. Since although it's using standard phono colours in the other cable, it is a bit odd because it's got the white and the red swapped round. Now I'm just going to double check those because it's worth double checking to make sure that I have got it right and that the white wire, which is covered in black heat shrink, is in fact the one going to the ring. So there might be a little bit of stray resistance going on through my fingers there. I've just lost that off the connector, but that's fine. I don't have any flux, which would be useful for when I'm soldering the two wires together. I'll just check that's going to do its thing. It is. So I just need to put that on the plug end, which is hiding from me. It's there. So one end onto there, one end onto the plug. I'm looking for the ring, which is the centre pin, and the white wire, I believe, is the one that goes to that. So I think they've just swapped the wires around when they've assembled it. I don't know. Just got to be careful I don't lose the red heat shrink because that looks like it's about to slide off. Yep. White wire is the ring, so that's where the negative of the speaker will go. And to avoid any nasty surprises, I'm going to trim off the black wire because we just simply don't need it. There we go. The black wire's now been trimmed. Let's try and connect the wires together. So I'm going to put this back in here. So I need the speaker wire, which... Whoop. Nah, I told you this was unrehearsed and I've just lost the red heat shrink. That's okay, because I can just cut some more of that. Like I said, I told you it was unrehearsed. So I'm going to connect the black wire together with the soldering iron. I'm just going to reflow these if the soldering iron's not... Yeah, the soldering iron's actually quite manky, to be honest. Is it going to... Kind of is. Question is, will the heat shrink go over that? Probably not. Knowing me. But kind of does. It's a bit spiky there though, so I might have to trim that back. So let's see. Let's move that out of the way. Ah, what's happened is the red wire's gone on there. Let's disconnect that. There we go. And try again. Let's move that. I see what's happened here. Bend the red wire over. Bring the black one in. It'll be fun. Okay. Right, put the soldering iron back in. Let's see if I can get the heat shrink over that. So short answer, no, the heat shrink's actually melted. Right. Okay. Let's see if I can fix that. Right, so I've managed to recover that. So the heat shrink is over, but it's not quite as over as I would like. But because that's the ground return path, shouldn't be too much of a problem, provided that the red wire is actually completely covered with heat shrink. So I'm now going to connect the red wire. And hopefully the heat shrink won't go weird like it did that last time, which was actually the heat shrink shrinking down, if you think about it. Because that's what heat shrink does. It shrinks down. So I'm going to try and get these wires in. This is going to be the fun part because they're not going to want to stay together. Yeah, they're definitely not going to want to stay together. Yeah, they're definitely not working. So these wires do not want to stay together. Right, what I can do then is use the other part of the helping hands stop that from moving, I'm hoping, by potentially clamping it in there. Hopefully that will work to reach across. No, it hasn't worked. Unless I take that round like that. Oh, well, he says, but the heat shink's just come off. Yeah, this is unscripted. This is exactly how I like my videos. Unscripted. This one won't be too edited either. Most of the mishaps are going to stay in it. Okay, this is where it's going to be fun. Hopefully it will work now. Yeah, I think we're okay. Go across. Let's remove the wires. Let's see if I can get that heat shrink across there and make sure it's insulating properly. That's obviously I want that shorting out. No, that's not going to happen. Very annoying. Let's just try and trim it. Couldn't trim it. I'm going to have to desolder that. Yeah. Should be off now. Let's see. Can I do that? Hook it over like that. Times. It's twisted round. And can I just reflow the solder? No, that actually just popped straight off as soon as I tried that. It was weird. I think it's two different types of wire as well, which is not really that helpful. It's also starting to shrink the heat shrink down, which is not ideal. Okay, that seems to be on. So all I need to do is cut the bit above it off, and hopefully I can slide that heat shrink over and it will be electrically insulated. It needs to be. I haven't quite cut that yet. Let's try and cut it a bit more. It seems to be connected. There we go. We're good. So what I've now got to do is got to put the heat gun on and heat shrink that down. So I'm going to pause while I do that because the heat gun is loud. So that's now all heat shrinked. So now I'm going to test it on a radio. Not sure how well this is going to work, so I'm just going to grab a radio I have to hand. Try, oh not that, once it's dead. Yeah, the first radio I grabbed, turns out it's been switched on, the batteries are dead. No, I won't use the second one I tried picking up because some of the components in that are slightly unobtainium. There we go, this one will do. So it'll give me a clue if the speaker's actually doing its job. Because, oh, I don't know. But we'll see. It's working. Because the ring's just connecting to the sleeve inside their socket of the test radio, which was this. So okay, that's working fine. So all I now need to do is put the screws back into the back of that radio, because I actually unscrewed all not the radio, the speaker, because I actually unscrewed all the screws. And I did that because I needed to check the impedance of the speaker before I started work. So I'm going to remove the multimeter, just put it on my chair just down to one side. I'm going to try and remove as much of the tools as I can to try and be careful, because the speaker does have a massive magnet in it. It's quite a good quality speaker as well. I'm not sure if I mentioned, but it is a car kit speaker from... I'm just using the wrong screwdriver, that's not helpful. I think it's a car kit speaker from a Nokia hands-free kit from back in the day when everybody had like Nokia 5110s and stuff. So it's from that car kit basically. I'm just going to make sure where to put the screws as well. So I've now got to find the screwdriver, because it turns out I put the screwdriver down and not quite remembered where I put it. Because the screwdriver I picked up turned out to be the wrong screwdriver. Which isn't great. I think I see it. There we go. So I'm going to tighten up some screws in the back of there. They're Phillips screws, but this is a posi-drive screwdriver, so technically shouldn't be doing it. It's the wrong screwdriver, but it's the only one that would fit. So, and then we're going to go put this back in the car, and we're going to test it with the FTM-400. When I remember to turn my soldering iron off, of course. Okay. Looks like I've got 3 of the 4 screws back in there. So, because there was supposed to be 4 screws in this, I think one of them isn't in there. And that one's in. That one isn't. That one is. That one, yeah, there. They're all in bar 1. I don't know where that last one's gone, unless it's dropped on the floor. Was it on the desk? It's on the desk. What? I'm just keeping an eye on the time here, because I will need to get ready for work soon. Because I do actually have work today. So obviously I work 2 jobs these days. Do Uber Eats and Domino's. So 2 income sources. It's a bit of a chew on, but it works. I need some cable ties as well, because normally I cable tie this thing in position. So I need to make sure I've got some cable ties, ones that are going to be long enough. If I can find ones that are going to be long enough. Usually I've got some quite long black cable ties, because it's usually black ones I use, because they don't generally degrade as quickly as the white ones. Yeah, I found one that might be sufficient. I just need to find another. No, it's short. I've got a pile of cable ties next to the bench on one of the shelves. Not always got the right one. Should have. So that'll be the next bit you're going to see, is me after I put this in the car, because I'm going to obviously not put it straight in the car and keep pulling out cable ties. I can not find the ones I'm looking for. Because obviously I don't want this thing moving around too much. I found one that's a bit warped, but it's about the same length as the one that I've the other one, so it should be fine. Yep, should be good. So I'll need to take these and the snips outside with me, and also my bodged together speaker, and we'll test it with the FTM-400. You guys are going to witness that. Okay, I'm down in the car. I've took the external microphone off, just for convenience sake. So, moment of truth. I did hear it beep behind me, so I think it's working. So what we'll do is we'll find an active frequency. It's going to be fun. I don't think there is one. So let's press that. Turn the volume up. I'd say that was a success. So it's a success. So Says Paul, Mike 0 Whiskey November uniform, or 26 Charlie Tango 730 if you catch me on 11 metres and PMR 446, or just the red squirrel on the old CB and PMR 446 if you like. So this was just unscripted, unrehearsed, just done because I needed to get it repaired. So that's repaired, and right, now I'll get this uploaded to YouTube and I'll get myself ready for work. 7 threes for now, guys.